Hi guys, Tish here and welcome to another video on Tish Does Travel. It's another foraging video. So we're going to be making a few things. We're going to be making something I've never made before, something that uses up the excess in the garden, and lastly something that I make pretty much every single year. So the first thing is the thing that I've never made before, and that is Hawthorn Ketchup. So this is ketchup made from those little red berries which are literally everywhere on English hedgerows. So we're going to be making a savoury ketchup. We're also going to be using up all the green tomatoes in the garden, and we're going to be making green tomato chutney, which is my nan's recipe and it's just an absolute favourite. And then lastly, something I make every single year, we're going to be making Sloe Gin, because there is literally so many sloes out there at the moment, and if you're not making Sloe Gin then you're definitely missing out for Christmas time. So in today's video I'm going to show you how to make all of those three things. And if you have any more recommendations on things that I've used, then definitely let me know down below. I really hope you enjoy this video, and let's get into it. This will be the first of our autumn bakes. This is going to turn into Hawthorn Ketchup. These little berries you've probably seen absolutely everywhere at the moment. So they grow on bushes like this. You'll have a little look at the leaves. They're kind of like these classic looking, almost like maple leaf type leaves, quite a few on there, and then you have kind of a woody stick and the berries here, which at the moment have gone like a deep burgundy colour towards the end of summer and into autumn, but they start as like bright red, but you kind of want them like this because they're a little bit softer. So if I squash one, you'll see you can squash it and then you have this kind of like mushy texture, and that is what we're going to be turning into ketchup. This is a first time bake for me, but I have just seen these absolutely everywhere in the hedgerows, and it feels like a little bit of a waste to not use them, and I've heard that ketchup is really good with these. We're going to put a little bit of chilli in there to spice it up as well, but this is going to be the first of our bakes. This recipe is honestly so simple. So we need 500 grams of haw berries. I've actually got about 800, so I'm going to be slightly increasing the amount I'm using, and then literally cider vinegar and sugar. That's all it is to do Hawthorn ketchup. I'm going to add a little bit of spice as well, so I'm going to put a couple of chilies in there as well. But that is literally so simple. A little bit of salt and pepper just to season it, but that is all you need. I've just washed my bottle with warm soapy water, and now I'm just popping it in the oven to heat up. Next up, you need to wash the berries, and it does actually say to remove the stalks, but I don't know if you can see, almost every little berry has stalks on it. So I'm going to try and get out like the little remnants of leaves in there, but I think I'm going to leave all the stalks on there because I'm sure the fact that it's all going through a sieve really won't make much difference in the end. Now don't forget, I've scaled my recipe up, but into the pan goes 480 millilitres of cider vinegar, and then the same amount of water. And then you want to put your haws in there as well. I'm also going to add in my chilli to that mixture. I've left all of the seeds in there because, like I said, this is all going to go through a sieve, so it doesn't matter if there's kind of unfavourable textures in it. Once you've brought that all to a boil, you want to simmer it for 30 minutes. And you essentially want to wait until the berries have gone like a dull brown colour and the skins have started to split. Now this bit's going to be a little bit tricky, but you want to strain out the thaws into a strainer. I might actually try by ladling it in first, and then you basically want to push them with a wooden spoon. I better turn down the heat of that whilst that's going in there. And then just push like that. Once that's strained through, it already kind of looks like a ketchup-y type consistency. Just give it a stir, make sure the lumps are broken up, and then you want to stir in the sugar. So for my recipe, it's 275 grams of sugar. And here it is. Admittedly, it doesn't look the most appetizing, but then again, it does very much look like ketchup. And then you get your bottle out of the oven and very carefully, in fact, I think I may need a funnel for this. You very carefully fill up your bottle. And there we have it, our Hawthorn ketchup. Then you just want to go ahead and seal it up while it's still nice and hot. And this will actually keep for up to a year unopened. And then once you've opened it, you need to put it in the fridge and then use it within 2 weeks. But I'm very, very excited to taste this. And I know what you're all gonna say. You're gonna wanna know what this tastes like. But I need to give it 2 weeks to mature. But I am gonna try a little bit and I'll see if I can describe the flavour to you. But yeah, it gets better with time apparently. However, as a bit of an experiment, it very much has a berry taste. I think the problem with calling it ketchup is ketchup describes the consistency, not what it's made of. So it doesn't taste of tomato ketchup, but it's actually very nice. It is a bit like a red currant jelly, but then because you've got the vinegar in it as well, it's got a little bit of a tang. That's nice. The next thing that I'm going to be making is these. So, these are green tomatoes. So why are they green and why aren't they red? Well, we tried a different type of tomato growing in the garden this year and they're really, really delicious. But as soon as they go red, they actually start to split and they're quite hard to eat quickly. And I haven't had time to make soup and we just don't get round to eating them. So rather than letting them go to waste because they're basically just falling in the garden before we're able to eat them, we thought it made loads more sense to make green tomato chutney and then we can enjoy it for much longer. So that's the next thing we're going to be making. This recipe uses 1 kilogram of green tomatoes, and this recipe is actually just for regular tomato chutney. I asked Rory to check a green tomato chutney recipe, and he found just a regular one, which is absolutely fine. I'm sure it's very similar, but we are going to put in that some paprika, we've got some cardamom pods, we've got some ginger, some onion, we're going to put chilli in this as well, a bit of sugar, some sultanas, and also red wine vinegar. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chop the tomatoes. This literally could not be any simpler. Everything just goes in the pot. So we have got 1 kilogram of green tomatoes. They are going in. And then we have 500 grams of red onion. We've got 150 millilitres of red wine vinegar. And then in here we've also got a few cumin pods, 4 cloves of garlic chopped. We've got 4 centimetres of ginger chopped and also 1 chilli as well. So that's all going in there. And lastly, we've got 250 grams of sugar. So all of that is just going and we are going to simmer it down. Oh, not to forget, half a teaspoon of paprika. I nearly forgot, this is definitely personal preference, but I'm just going to put a couple of handfuls full of sultanas. I left my chutney to simmer for about an hour and then I turned up the heat and I've boiled it and now it's pretty much ready to go into the pots. I've concluded that there's no attractive way of spooning this in, so I'm doing it over the top of the pot and literally just ladling it in. Hello, so it's been about a week since I recorded the last video. I'm really sorry about the dog that's barking in the background. But I'm going to make the last thing in our recipes, which is going to be Sloe Gin, which is arguably the easiest thing that we're going to make. It is pretty much just sugar, sloes, and gin all together. I've also got so much lavender. I'll show you the table in front of me. There's just an enormous amount of lavender from my dad's bush, and this is literally like quarter of a bin bag and we have 2 full bin bags. So I need to decide what I'm going to do with lavender. I'm definitely going to make my blackcurrant or blackberry and lavender jam, but that's in the freezer and I don't think I'm going to make it in this video, and it's pretty straightforward. I might have even done it on this channel already. If I have, I'll link it somewhere, but if anybody has any recipes or anything to do with a huge amount of lavender, then let me know. But we are going to go ahead and we are going to make the Sloe Gin. I may just have a little bit of a hack for you. So I have 250 grams of sloes and I've got 35 centilitres of gin, and the best way to get a recipe is actually if you go onto ChatGPT. I know it's not the best thing to be using ChatGPT, but I've literally just typed in a prompt: can you give me a Sloe Gin recipe for 250 grams of sloes and 35 centilitres of gin? And then that will pre-populate a recipe using that many sloes, which is super handy. So we need 125 grams of caster sugar. So we've got the sloes, we've got the gin, and we're also going to add in 125 grams of caster sugar. It does say that you can adjust this depending on how sweet you want it to be, and my dad doesn't actually really like sweet things too much, so I think actually we're going to go for about 110. So we're going to do it just under what they say to do. So these have actually been in the freezer. I picked them a little while ago, and it does say to put them in the freezer because then that loosens the skins and it helps you infuse the gin with all of that lovely sloe juice. Once again, my bottles have just been sterilising in the oven, so I'm going to get those out now. And then this bit's a little bit fiddly, but we're just going to spread the fruit throughout the 3 bottles. Okay, so I'm going to spread the sugar as best as I can throughout the 3 bottles. Now, I've chosen to go for small bottles because I'm giving these as presents for Christmas, so I just thought it was a bit nicer. And then it's gin time. There you go, I told you that was easy. And then you just want to give it a really good shake up so that you mix in all the sugar and kind of loosen up the skins a little bit. And then you just let that sit, and the longer the better. 3 months is excellent, 6 months is even better, but you want to give it a shake every day for sort of the first couple of weeks, and then after that you can kind of just shake it once in a while, and then you'll have Sloe Gin. So there you have it, Hawthorn Ketchup, green tomato chutney and Sloe Gin, all made, ready to put away, well, 2 to be put away for Christmas and something to be eaten up a little bit sooner. And that was really, really enjoyable. I'm very excited to try the Hawthorn Ketchup when I've left it a little bit of time for it to kind of mature and deepen in flavour. And we're going to see if I can find some different recipes that you can enjoy Hawthorn Ketchup with. I always love a chutney and I cannot wait till Christmas to have some of the Sloe Gin, and also a couple of these things, the Sloe Gin and the Hawthorn Ketchup. I'm going to make a second lot of Hawthorn Ketchup. This time I'm going to put crab apples with it, because apparently that can kind of like stretch the mixture, because of course we used a lot of hawthorns and we got a reasonable amount of ketchup but not a huge amount. So in the future I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to bottle it up in these little bottles and I'm going to give it away at Christmas, because things like this are going to keep till Christmas. The Sloe Gin is just going to get better and better ready for Christmas, and it means I can give some gifts that I've made. So let me know if you've enjoyed this video and which one are you going to be trying to make. There is so much to forage at the moment, so if you've got any kind of foraging tips for me or anything else that you've got your eye on, now it's kind of come into that kind of autumn time, then let me know. It's definitely mushroom season, which I'm very excited about. But I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, and if you want to see more, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time guys, see you later.